We had a bird fly into our house this morning.
In your house?
Yeah, it was fine. We had like the back door open. It flew in and like couldn't figure out how to get out. And it was like perched on top of the counter or on
Probably
top
the weather.
of the cabinets.
They probably
Yeah,
weren't expecting all this kind of cold weather.
So hard to get them out of your out of any sort of like enclosed space because they want to fly up.
Yeah, it took about, I don't know, it was like 3 minutes of us being like, what the hell are we doing right now? How do we get this out of here? I was like, does this thing have rabies? Is it gonna peck me?
Yeah. I'll do one better. We were sitting on the couch and we go over to the oven to start to cook, and there's a praying mantis on the oven. I mean, fucking big. Just sitting there on the oven, and we're like, what do we do?
Yeah.
Not like a spider where you just crush it. This thing's like the size of my fist. Like, I don't know, man. I was creeped out.
Tame it, and you give it a name, and you raise it as your own, Dallas.
Where did it come from, though?
Came from the prehistoric era.
That's no lie. Well, we are here, the Musicians Talk Show podcast. There's 3 of us today. We're doing a very special episode. It's episode 112. I am Dallas DeWhite.
And I'm Matt Tolley.
We have George Ramsay with us today. George, how's it going?
Hey, it's going great. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
Surprising we haven't had George on the show yet. Have we had George on before?
No, we've talked about it from
crazy
years at this point, actually, because we had talked in the very beginning, and like when we were in like the teens. We're now in the 100 teens.
So let's talk about what George does and where he's from.
Yeah. Give us the rundown.
Yeah. So I know Dallas. Well, I know both of you through music, but so I own a music lesson business here in Charlotte called Bold Music Lessons. Dallas is one of the OG teachers. He's been teaching with us for a long, long time. And we've historically done in-home music lessons all around Charlotte. You know, got a roster of some absolute badass musicians that go to people's house and teach them lessons among the other musical things they do in their lives. And we obviously recently went full virtual, so kind of a crazy time.
Yeah.
That's I think where this conversation is going to go is, as you have a unique perspective as a business owner, a small business owner, and a musician, two things that are getting hit pretty hard in all this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy. And it's crazy to think what is going to, like, there's going to be like permanent fallout, if that's the right word, for all this. Like, it's not going to go back to being the same.
Yeah, like, that's kind of something that we had talked about as well. Like, and obviously it's just wild speculation, and we've gone pretty wild with it, Matt.
Yeah. Yep.
Crazy things. But like, what do you think, if you had to guess, like, what are some of the long-term implications as far as, I mean, your experience, small business teaching, but even touring, and I mean, just being a musician in general?
Well, I think, unfortunately, I was talking about this last night. Like, I think live shows, you know, with crowds are going to be probably the last thing to come back. I mean, I think that'll even be after things like, you know, professional sports, because if you think about like the NFL or you think about these, you know, sports leagues, it's like this big, massive like industry, and there's all these teams and all these owners. Whereas like even the big, and I don't know a whole lot about this, but like even the big touring artists, it's kind of like they're their own thing. And yeah. So you would think that it'd be easier to prevent that from happening, you know, while like the business community and economy at large is going to kind of like force a lot of the other things to start back up. So it's if you're a touring musician and you've made and your whole, you know, all your eggs are in live shows, it'll come back. But the scary thing, I think, is just not knowing when, and when it does, what's it going to even look like?
Yeah.
Matt and I, or I think Matt, you threw this out. What if they implement some sort of permanent ban on like some sort of cap? Like, hey, no more shows ever above 5,000 people. Like, what if they do something like that?
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
if we got into like a crazy pandemic like mode where we kept getting these pandemics and kept having this all the time, you know what I mean? Which I don't know, it's unlikely, but if it got to be the norm.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably likely that not necessarily that will happen, but like we're going to be dealing with pandemics, you know, forever. And I think we're all realizing how the world is so interconnected. Like, it takes one person getting sick and getting on an airplane, and suddenly, you know, everywhere's getting hit. So that's crazy. From a business perspective in the music industry, music's not going away. You know, like what's abundantly clear to me is that music's got a unique position to bring people together and empower and blah blah blah, make people feel good, all that kind of stuff. And that always gets heightened when times are weird or bad. So like music itself, I'm not worried about at all. You know, and the music business in general, you know, it's this behemoth that you would think is not. You know, there's no point in living if there isn't music. Right. So like, I'm not worried about music in general. But what's probably gonna have to happen from a business perspective is we've just gone through this digital transformation where everyone, the way to make money as a musician changed. And a lot of it, and I've never been a touring musician myself, but as far as I can tell, a lot of it is now shifted to obviously online streaming. You don't make as much money, so people are so heavily reliant on the live shows. Well, now what?
Right. And
kind of like they got screwed twice.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right.
So
what we said is it's just going to drive people to do it a different way. It's everything that is, is the necessary way to go. Then it's just going to change the way we do it. We're going to make music. We're going to do it live streams. We're going to do different things now, and it's going to get better though too. It's going to drive the technology to get better because people will demand it to be better. You know,
I completely agree with that. I think that's innovation. We're going to keep innovating. We're going to find ways to enjoy and spread music. And there's a huge opportunity, I think, too, from like a technological perspective. The big thing for me, and Dallas knows I'm like interested in this, is like how can you actually? There's got to be a way to play music live together from different locations, or not live, but like accounting for latency somehow and allowing people to, because you still can't do it. Like whoever cracks that code, it'll be cool.
Some sort of latency, like predictor or something.
Yeah. So did I show you
intentionally put you off, but predict exactly how much, you know?
Yeah. So there was that one program that I sent, I'm forgetting the name of it, that attempts to do that. But it seems like theoretically that could work pretty well.
It seems like it would have to work off some kind of click, just like when you line everything else up, you line it up to some kind of grid. So if you put some kind of software that was on video streaming, it would have to be, I mean, that's the thing is maybe it would be even easier to start out with just audio streaming. Like everybody's listening to headphones. There is no video to it. Maybe you crack that first because there's probably lower latency, I would imagine. I don't know. But if everybody's playing to a grid though, and that software just syncs up those grids when it takes in all the inputs, it should work. I don't know.
So it would be like a second or like, if the processing power was enough, you would think that you could be on like a 2-second delay,
right?
And it's accounting for latency and then syncing it up. You know,
well, you got to have it in really time with your hands and in your ears. That's the issue. That has to stay on. So everybody maybe would have to play to a click, like, and not hear the rest of everybody, or I don't know.
Have it in sync on one side. Like I could have my ears from what you're doing, Matt. I could have my ears and hands synced, but to you, I'm going to be way behind you.
Yeah.
Right.
So now you're messed up, and then we constantly try to compensate for each other. So we're just,
So you could do it, and you could still probably do it with like have a video component, but what you couldn't do, you would have to be relying on listening to be playing with other people. Like you wouldn't be able to be watching the drummer for a hit, you know, like it would all be audio, but you could then sync up the video, I would think. But
somebody out there is going to do it.
Oh yeah. It's coming.
I made a note here. Musicians, anyone that's tried to make a living at music has definitely heard this or practiced this or needs to hear it if they haven't. Well, and we've said a lot on the show, Matt, but musicians always need to try to have as many streams of income as possible.
Yeah. So diversify your income for sure.
Right. So whether let's name some of them. That'd be touring, merchandise, music sales, music
lessons,
royalties, and then get outside of that lesson.
Yeah, right. I mean, marketing. If you're good at digital design, I mean, there's so much need for that in the music world. There's so many, everything a musician needs now. They're kind of doing it on their own anyway, so they're going to outsource what they can't do. And if you can do that,
etc.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why I think musicians are actually kind of best equipped to handle this kind of thing. Like for me, I'm not playing any shows, and that was a chunk of my income. Right. But it's fine because I'm still teaching all these lessons. I'm still doing the music at the church. I'm still doing all this other stuff that I have built up so that way. And this is just a smart way to be for any person outside. Sure. You need to set yourself up so that if one of your streams of income goes completely away, that you're not going to be just destitute, you know?
Yeah. I think it's important in anything you do to take the one thing that you're making money at, that thing that you're surviving and paying your bills off of. You should be also using that to pay your bills and everything, but then also putting that into whatever your next endeavor is going to be, because you have to understand that nothing lasts forever. Like, you could be in a job and do it for 40 years. I mean, that's a long time for sure. You about to be retired then, but if you did a job for 30 years or something like that, in your last 10 years, you're 10 years to retirement, but that job completely goes away because of technology advancements or whatever. Who knows what could happen? Like, there's so many different things out there, but just have a plan for the future, I think, is smart.
That pretty much happened to my stepdad. He had a nice corporate job that he had forever.
Right.
He just got laid off. I mean,
that's what happens.
25, 30 years into the same company, like, just got laid off.
Yeah, he put all his eggs into that basket. Unfortunately, it sounds like he didn't have another option to start.
A lot of, I think, corporate, lawyers, those doctors, those kind of people, obviously less so. But that's one downside to that. Is it's kind of hard to diversify when you're spending 60 hours a week in a law office.
Well, and when you've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars getting your law degree.
Yeah, like, exactly.
You got to pay it off. But I think. It's like, so my fiance works a banking job, and for all intents and purposes, that's a really secure kind of career path. But like, it's not. Like, you can get laid off at any time. They can fire you for whatever reason they want to. Like, job security is just not, like, it doesn't really exist in anything. So like, diversifying, like you guys were saying, is key. And I think as a musician, what I've been saying for a long time is, if you're a musician and that's the career path that you choose, you are your own business, and it is completely up to you. And you guys both know it's a thankless profession. It's completely up to you to make the best of it. I was talking to a couple people, one of whom was like the GM at a brewery, who I can put you all in touch with if you want to play at said brewery. But
after all this,
but they, the girlfriend basically does all the bookings there, and things as simple as a band reaches out to perform, and then they don't reply. Like, you say, oh yeah, sure, like, when are you available? And then they don't reply for 3 weeks. It's like, you've got to. Nobody is going to come, and we're seeing this even with the whole government, the stimulus, all that kind of stuff. Nobody's going to come and help you out as a musician. Right. You are your own business, your own brand, and you have to when you sign up to be a musician, you have to sign up for, like, taking that responsibility.
Yeah. Exactly.
I kind of would compare that to the difference between working for somebody at a job and then actually starting your own business and working. Yeah. Like, it's very much the same thing. Your music is your own business. Like, nowadays, like, there's nobody that's going to come scoop you up. It's like, oh wow, you sound great. Let me just give you all this money and make sure you're taken care of. That doesn't work. That doesn't happen. If you're still relying on that, then you're relying on some crazy dream.
Yeah. And people, obviously the people that are the absolute most hardest hit right now, in my opinion, are the full-time gigging musicians who've been doing it for 20, 30 years and really don't have other options. Yeah. And then obviously the small venues, they're getting hammered.
They're going to have to scramble at this point. I mean, it's kind of late in the game to, like, just start something new. Like, you see a lot of people starting YouTube channels right now. Just if they have an idea of anything, like, that they could just do from their house, like, people are doing it. Like, I saw one girl who she works at a reptile store. She can't go into the reptile store. Those are non-essential. I think they go in there to feed them and stuff like that, but it's super limited hours and stuff. But in her free time now, she's doing little, like, PSAs, I guess, on reptile living and stuff like that for people who own reptiles. So she, everybody just figures out what they're doing, like.
Yeah, but the other thing that's crazy about it is everyone's trying to do that now. And I'm seeing that with, like, the live streams on Facebook and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
And it's just it's so cluttered right now, and to think that what has happened in the short term to all these full-time gigging musicians, what they're doing, they don't have any infrastructure in place to kind of monetize what they do apart from relying on the gigs. So what they've resorted to, and it's sad, it breaks my heart, is that it's essentially like begging for tips.
Yeah.
And it's not fair. Like, it's not fair that they should be like, okay, I'm going to go live at 9 p.m. I can't charge anything for this. and I'm just hoping that people are generous enough to give, throw a tip my way. But it's so hard because literally every gigging musician is doing that
Yeah.
every night.
I think, that's why I think
everyone's getting hit by that. So it's like you're now asking for my money when I'm also being hit.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think when it comes
Do that.
Yeah, sorry, I can't tell when somebody's talking because the volume gets dropped every time I start talking. So, but the thing that's going to be the difference is being creative with how you're doing it. And so it's not going to be just go play some live music and ask for tips. I think that's the simplest thing you could think of probably, and it's honest and everything like that. But that it's just that everybody's being hit with this. If you really are still trying to make money, I mean, you're gonna have to do something creative and do something that people will pay with their government stimulus checks with. That I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It sucks. It's hard.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see less musicians maybe on the other side of this.
That's a good point.
I would agree. I mean,
because those that can't, I mean, it's Darwin in effect. Unfortunately, right. Those that can't find a way to adapt and survive are just going to get cut. And then,
go ahead. Sorry.
I'm to, it's like I can't do this anymore. So,
I think I think that's true, like in the music industry, but also just like in the world, what we're going to see. I think specific, like one of the things, like I'm putting in like 60, 70 hour weeks right now because I know that if our business can kind of survive this and get through it and be stronger than we went in, like there's going to be a ton of businesses that just don't make it. Like the shitty businesses,
your competition
going to make it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
it's an attrition. Yeah.
Yeah.
All the clients.
Yeah. Hopefully that's the idea.
It sounds like you guys are adapting well though. From what I've heard, Dallas says it's going really well as far as still giving lessons across the internet and stuff like that. Can you talk about that at all?
Yeah. Well, I can totally talk about that. And it would be completely unfair for me to say anything other than how incredibly lucky we got. Because we do in-home lessons and Dallas knows I've been talking about this with teachers for like well over a year now. The busy teachers and the teachers that live, like Dallas lives in Rock Hill and he's got students in Myers Park and stuff like that. Like the logistics of getting to someone's house is difficult as it is. And as the business has grown, like rescheduling and doing makeup lessons gets more and more and more difficult. And without a viable solution, not being able to reschedule a lesson had to lead to us like basically giving a credit to a family so they wouldn't have to pay for a lesson they didn't get, because we didn't think that we could just be completely like, if you cancel a lesson, tough shit. And so we, over the course of probably a year and a half, we're trying to figure out what to do about that. And we implemented video makeup lessons, and that whole program started in February. But like Dallas and I recorded a video in, I think it was like early November to tell it to families. And between, early November, we had already made the decision in October. And then November, we started telling families. November, December, January, we're telling teachers how to do it. We're setting up the portal thing on our website. We're kind of training people. So it was incredibly fortuitous that, come March 15th or whatever, when we were like, oh crap, we got to do all video lessons. We were actually...
You'd been setting up for it for 4 months, 5 months.
It was literally as simple as send an email to the teachers, send an email to the families, and take it from there, because we already had it all set up. So it was so lucky versus the other, a lot of other places that scramble to figure out how to do it like overnight.
It pays to be forward thinking, and you guys really lucked out.
I mean, it was, but like, yes, but I there was a little bit of forward thinking, but it was more like I'd be lying if what'd you say, Dallas? Sorry.
Solving a different problem than the one we're facing now.
Right. But exactly. But it ended up working out. But like, I'd be lying if I told you in November, I was like, ooh, coronavirus, we better.
No, of course. Yeah, I'm not saying that, but I just mean that you were forward thinking and thinking of other ways to do what you already do anyways. Like you were just thinking outside of the obvious ways, driving to your, student's house or meeting at a specific place. But then there's obviously a new route developing, because this, video live stuff is not that new. I mean, it's been around for, but it is pretty new. And to take it to the music lessons, area is what we were talking about in the very beginning, is hard because of the latency issues. Mm-hmm. But to do lessons, you don't necessarily have to play along together. You can play something for somebody, show them. So, yeah. So
I was gonna just say, like, one of the things too that we've noticed is the video lessons are awesome.
Yeah.
Like people are loving them, and part of that I think is because they're stuck at home and it's one of the only things they can really do. But I truly am starting to see, and I've been teaching some lessons myself now. I don't teach it like much anymore, but I've been teaching some lessons, and a lot of it is me testing things out.
Mhm.
But I mean, a video lesson can be immensely productive and efficient and effective, especially if the teacher like knows how to use the tech that we're using.
Sure. Yeah.
And what's been crazy to see is how quickly the teachers that teach with our company have adapted, and how amazing of a job that they've done. Like
Yeah.
people are just not like people. Some people were on the fence and didn't like this new makeup policy, and there's been people that have quit lessons for sure. But like the overwhelming majority of people are like, whoa, wait a minute, this is actually pretty great. So now we're trying to figure out how to come out of this and take the video, take what we've learned and take the benefits that come with doing video lessons and bring that out and continue, and be stronger for it on the other side.
Exactly.
And something, and I'm sure you've thought of this, George, but something going remote means is you don't have to stay local anymore. You can get students and instructors from anywhere in the world.
Yeah, and just to talk on that for a quick second, that's completely true. One of the hesitations that I always had about something like that is being worried about the bold music community not feeling like a real community. But the craziest thing, and so that's why I'm starting to think about that, Dallas, more like kind of going, seeing if we can get some students in other places and all that kind of thing. The community that we build, or that we've worked on building, predominantly has been, gig nights and being nice and good customer service and engaging with teachers, engaging with families, all that kind of stuff. We've taken that like to the next level since this coronavirus thing has happened. And I don't know if Dallas as a teacher, I don't know how much you're feeling this, but I'm feeling that the bold music community is is stronger and more connected than it's ever been. That's teachers being connected with one another, teachers being connected with families, families being connected with us and other teachers. Like it's this really great community. And I'm thinking, as long as that's like a central mission, like why we're not like it doesn't make a difference that Yanni and Taki live in Ballantyne. They could be in New Mexico and they still feel like they're part of something cool.
Yeah. That's something I've always loved about what you guys do is the gig nights, man. Those nights are awesome. When seeing all those kids get it. First of all, they're all excited, a little bit nervous, and all the families are there. They're super excited. It's such a good atmosphere, That's the
you
most
sung. Didn't you sing at one of them?
Oh yeah, I've sang
a couple of them.
Maybe a couple of them. I'm not sure.
Yanni, the student you sang for, he still laughs when he tells me, "Yeah, that guy was so cool. He came up and he gave me a fist bump, and he had all these rings on every finger." And
yeah, totally.
I was like, "That's Matt."
Oh yeah,
that was a good time, man. I love it. I love doing it. And we've also done sound for the gig nights.
That's right.
Too,
that's right.
So that's like I loved it, man. It's just a great part. I love doing it just for the watching the kids like fall in love with music. You can see it.
Totally. And those aren't going to go away. Like we're going to find ways to continue to do those once we're allowed to congregate again.
Sure.
But we've also started doing these virtual gig nights that are so fun. I mean, right now they've been the kids are recording themselves, and we just post them basically, like post them playing a song, and it's like every Monday and Thursday. But we've also started doing these virtual gig night kind of like collaboration videos, and we've only done one so far. Is it cool?
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that one.
Jump into this and explain it.
Yeah, go ahead. Of course.
So the idea, so what we did, and Dallas did the video and recorded some awesome vocals and some guitar on that first song. But we figured, and this was an idea that a family gave me. It was not my idea. But basically what we're doing is we're getting, with the first video, we had a bunch of students a bunch of teachers record separate parts in a video of them playing a part of a song. The first one we did was Your Song by Elton John. So they were recording to a click. They recorded their, audio and video, sent it in. Rasan, one of our teachers, kind of produced it all, compiled it. And it was a really cool way to collaborate. I mean, the video that we posted has over 15,000 views now, which is crazy.
That is awesome.
That's just on Facebook, but the real idea, I mean, it's a cool feel good thing. It's like, it's a nice song, people can connect with it. But like the long term goal, beyond any marketing, any you know, exposure type thing, is what we're going to start doing, and that's starting like tomorrow, is getting students involved. So the students will now be recording their parts, collaborating with other students and teachers to come out with these like really, and you know, and we're not talking just like a cheesy, you know,
No.
like low quality recording. Like Rasan and Dallas has been helping with these too. These are like audio professionals, so they're like recording and mixing from their house, like what they would do at a professional level, so it sounds awesome. And you know, kids can suddenly be like, wow, I was a part of something really cool. And that's something that, go ahead.
How cool is that to introduce them to that world too, to the recording and putting all your, you know, collaborations together, and, you know, from afar too, on top of that, like they're kind of learning a skill that they could, you know, in effect use on their own too. And once they've, you know, taken it, you know, done this a couple of times, they'll be doing it with each other on their own and making
exactly.
It's great. It's great.
And that is something that we would have never even entertained or like thought about it unless this lockdown had happened. And it's something that so clearly can and will continue forever. It doesn't matter whether we're in lockdown or not.
Nope.
People don't live in the same house. So it's like but it's still possible to collaborate in such a cool way. I mean, it's going to be, I'm as excited about this whole thing as I have been about like any of our kind of like, you know, initiatives or whatever that we
really good way to spread the word too, and you know, spread the name.
Yeah.
I mean, just anything that you put out into the world that's positive, and especially if it goes viral or something, well, now everyone knows the name and the website, and you're at least a percentage of those that go all the way through. And like, I want listens from these people, you know?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, we've had a couple, I don't know that any have actually, I don't think any have actually like actually signed up yet, but we've had numerous people, you know, that saw the video ask about lessons. But it really, I mean, that is obviously, it'd be nice, but to me, it's kind of a secondary thing to like having a good experience for some students and teachers. I definitely did not give enough credence before. I've always been, Dallas can tell you this, like I've always been very hesitant to like ask teachers to really do anything because, you know, like time is money and we're all busy, and you know, their job, quote unquote, is to go teach people. It's like it's not their job to do the other stuff. Right. But I think and Dallas, you can totally be honest and disagree if you want, but what I noticed is like asking some teachers to do it and just record this thing made them also feel good. I think. I mean, Dallas, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I've done lots of extra projects for you guys, and it's awesome.
Oh, for sure. And then the other thing about that too is, you know, as long as we can keep the momentum and keep the business going, like that's for the people that actually, like, you know, Dallas who's doing the video, Rasan who's doing the audio production, and if we get other teachers involved, that is like paid work that we're giving them too. That you know, it's not a ton, but it, you know, every little bit counts, and again, it's a project that you can be proud of. You know, and it doesn't matter if you're a teacher or a student, company, whatever. It's just a cool thing. I don't care who you are.
Yeah. Hey, I had a question. I was wondering this myself, even these collaborations, and a lot of them are covers. There's sometimes you see, you know, their original works and stuff like that. How does it go with the rights organization and stuff like that? I'm kind of wondering, like who's going to keep track of all of that, or if that's even being considered at this point.
So my strategy right now is to ask for forgiveness if we get in trouble.
Right. That's what I think everybody's going with.
Yeah. So I actually sent like this. I sent an email to Elton John's like publicist people.
Okay.
I was like, hey, check out this cool video. Like, don't sue me. Let me know if like if we need to do anything.
Don't Metallica song and send that to Lars. That's for sure.
No,
right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I won't. But see, like we're not. The other thing too is like we really aren't. It's clearly. I'm not trying to monetize the music.
Right.
I mean, I guess you could make the argument that if a lot of people watch it, then they may sign up for lessons, and indirectly they'll, you know. But it's not like we're selling the video. It's not like we're, you know. So I don't know, but We'll see what happens if someone gets pissed.
I wondered myself too, like if it, because I actually just did one with a previous guest that we had on the podcast, Roush. He did an awesome piano cover of Estranged, and we're a huge Guns N' Roses fan. And I emailed him about it, what an incredible job he did. And then I told him, I said, I'm kind of tempted to just do the vocals over it because I think it would just be awesome just as piano and vocals. And I did it, and then I thought about it, and I was like, do I have to pay rights to put this up? Or, I thought about it, and I was like, well, we're just going to go with put it up and see if YouTube tells me to take it down.
Yeah.
I think technically the answer is yes, but I don't it's as simple as this. If you're using someone else's work, you should have rights or pay for it.
Right.
But I don't think, there's...
what I think it comes down to be honest, what I think it really comes down to, just like anything, if you are making a lot of money off that video, if it turns out that you're turning profits, I think that's when they're going to go, okay, well, this person's making music off my art, and then they're going to demand the money that you owe them after the fact. And if you are making money, and you should pay them, if you're using their artwork. So, and I wouldn't feel bad about it to do it after the fact. But most of the time, what we see with these videos is, they get a few thousand views maybe, and they kind of just, whatever, sit there. And that's amazing that you guys got 15,000 already. That says a lot about your community, though,
Well, I think that like in music, that's why like the whole copywriting licensing thing is so sticky. Like I have to think that if Elton John happened to watch the video, he'd be like, oh, that's cute.
Sure.
Like,
and he would see that it's sincere and it's not out of making money. It's not a direct promotion or,
if anything, it's promoting his music.
Exactly.
But the big difference is Elton John's usually not the one making those decisions. The artist, a lot of times, doing their work. Yep. So Elton John might be like, yeah, that's cute. And then all the suits that actually own it come in and are like, hey, you can't use that.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. We'll see. I think if that happens, it'd be great.
Yeah.
Because that means people are watching it.
Sure.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, a lot of the usage stuff is interesting. Also, some stuff falls under fair use if you use it for educational purposes. So I'm wondering if you get into that.
And what are those songs that are applied? But is it a certain age once a song becomes a certain age, or is it just song?
You lose your copyright after the death of the composer plus 70 years.
Oh, okay.
That's when it goes into the public domain. That's why you can, do as many versions of the Star Spangled Banner as you want. You're never going to have a copyright problem because it's just in the public domain. We won't see that for popular songs for like a long time.
Right.
We're just now seeing some of the people die and they've been dead for like 1 year and 70 years. And they might not even own the copyrights. It all depends on the copyrights. Now, I was going to say something else about it. But most of the stuff is not like fair use is not. That's a different thing. Fair use is you can use anything now if it fits within a certain guidelines. And I think one of the big ones is educational purposes. So like, I'm not sure exactly how that works, but like if you use, if we did Elton John's song to teach people how to play a seventh chord, well, that'd be fair use. We couldn't.
Well, we did. What we did is we did the recording to teach the students how this process will work for their collaboration.
That's a good point.
The lessons company, so that
everything falls under that
guy being like, "Look at me play the guitar," like
Yeah.
Totally.
Where Roush, for example, would not fall under fair use. That's just a cool cover,
Right.
They do it all the time, and they don't get flagged, and you won't get flagged on YouTube. Even though you're technically in violation, I believe, you won't get flagged on YouTube if it's like a different recording, if it sounds
right. And that's what they're looking for.
That's not going to hit the algorithm and flag.
Right. The algorithms pick up the exact sound wave. So if you're playing a music video by an artist or you're playing something like that, and then they don't want you to play it or whatever, I guess if they have the scouts looking for it or whatever, I don't know how it exactly works, but you can't play somebody else's artwork. Essentially, you can't play a movie. You can't play a TV show.
What I found through my own YouTube stuff is it's now able to flag video too, regardless of what the audio's doing. Even if it's able to see the video and be like, hey, that's more
right.
Of this show, you can't do that,
And that's why you see people putting those filters on it where like it crops the screen on them, you know what I mean? And it like has blurred outside and you're only like seeing the main focus.
Color correcting and changing it, like putting the saturation down so it's like half black and white, and it still gets it sometimes.
Wow.
Unbelievable how it gets. I don't even know how. Like I jump through all the hoops and it's still like blocked.
I tuned it down a half step. I put it in black and white.
Dude, I do better. I do like a half step plus like 10 cents.
Yeah.
Just a little bit off the norm.
Pick up a half step. Be like, that's a half step.
That's awesome.
Or I'll do like, just 66 cents. So it's not quite
Yeah.
like, oh man.
Yeah, so those algorithms are getting good, and that's another thing you're going to see get better. All this technology is getting better because of, I think about like the beginning of Facebook and the beginning of Instagram and stuff like that, when before they throttled your viewership. So basically, like everything you posted went to all your followers. Like I don't know how long ago this was, but in the beginning it seemed like that. Like everybody saw everything and it was good. There was a lot of interaction. Now you post something, you get 3 likes, and it shows just like 15 views on it. And you're like, okay, so 15 people saw my post. Yeah, exactly. So it's just interesting to see how that evolved, and now you're paying for even just for your full following to see it. And I still haven't quite grasped how that works, because it seems like they always want to promote outside your following, and then they still only show a certain percentage of your following your stuff, which is interesting to me.
I think that depends, and this is just speaking off the cuff. I have no idea.
Yeah, me too. I don't.
But I think that depends on how your followers interact with your stuff. If I scroll,
yes, it does.
Every Prep and Barium post, and I never comment, it's definitely going to show me less of those.
Yes, and put you in the outside of the 10% that they actually show your post, and you may never see a Prep and Barium post again unless you go to my page and look at it. You know what I mean? So that's exactly, do something, and actually you're driven to the page with outside of just I posted something.
Algorithms want to show you more of what you like and what you interact with, and what keeps you on that platform. They want you on as long as possible.
So it seems like, though, when you boost or you promote a post, that they want to go to outside your following and get more following, which is good, because then that takes that 10% and it makes it more people. If you have more of a following, 10% becomes more of, more people. So
it's
instead of getting,
sorry, go ahead.
No, so instead of getting 3 likes, you'll get 30 likes, if you have a 10, whatever.
10%, 10 times as many. Yeah. It's hard to know. I mean, it's like it's a mystery.
That's what I was going to say. They don't really lay it out for you. It's kind of like pay and we'll show you your posts to more people, but they don't really tell you like how it works and what you're paying for,
Yeah.
I mean, interesting. I follow like over 1,500 people or something like that.
Right.
And I feel like I always see the same like 100.
Exactly. And that's what it does. And that's unfortunate. That makes it bad for the user, doesn't it? Like then it's taking out the user's experience, because now you don't even see what you've actually signed up to see.
Well, could you tell me what you're missing?
That's another thing, but out of sight, out of mind, right? Like it's hard to not
tell you. Like I probably follow some accounts. I'm like, what? I follow them? Unfollow.
Exactly. Every once in a while, you get a stray one that's like, I haven't seen that in forever.
Right.
Or they've changed their name. Like, how about that? How are profiles allowed to completely change what they are and still keep the same following? Because you see that people start meme accounts, they'll get thousands and thousands of followers, and the next day, one day, it's a banned, and they're like, oh, motherfucker! Like they tricked us.
Genius.
It's genius.
Now the problem is you've just gathered 100,000 people that are pissed off.
Like memes.
But
yeah, that like memes, and then if they like your music as a long shot, you're probably gonna lose a lot of them.
You'll get like 1,000 maybe, which is 0.1% or whatever.
Yeah, it's crazy. The whole like social media. I think it's deliberately opaque so that keeps you guessing, and I think they're always also changing how it works.
Sure,
but it's a game just like everything else.
Yeah. How long until social media comes crashing down around our heads?
Sometime.
I don't know. I mean, it's a weird.
It's been around for what, 10 years?
Longer than that. 20 years probably. MySpace.
Yeah, that's true. Facebook was 2007.
MySpace was definitely in the late 90s, like I think right at the end of the 90s.
It was in the 90s. It's hard to know. Like, there's got to be a place for social media, because it does allow people to be connected who wouldn't otherwise be connected. Yeah. Like I see my high school friends doing things that I would never keep up with them. Sure. But it's a little bit. At what level does it get kind of out of control?
Yeah, I don't know. People profit off that connectivity, so you're not going to see that go away, I don't think.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, is the demand is going to drive evolution, is going to drive innovation, and it's just going to keep changing. Like just like I always think about like what MySpace was, then what the beginning of Facebook was to what it is now, and then how Instagram kind of jumped into our lives, and now it almost seems like it's a way of life now, which is an interesting, it's very much a part of our lives. If that continues to to be true if we don't abandon it one day, like kind of like what happened to MySpace. But I just don't see it happening now. I don't know why Facebook and MySpace are different.
Yes, it's kind of stuck. But think about like, let's argue that social media is bad for us. In whatever ways you want to argue.
A lot of people, yeah.
Think about someone like Pablo Escobar, who profited so much off of something that did a lot of damage. And obviously that didn't end so well for him. So I wonder what happens if, it ends up being determined in 10 years, 50 years, 100 years that, we fucked up humanity with this thing.
Yeah.
Like, we ruined the world.
I like that thought.
It's hard to know. I mean, but it's not even like that far off. Like there's a lot of like studies and data out there already that says like how detrimental social media can be, especially for young people, but definitely for old people too. But if you're young and you're not really equipped to deal with your emotions, it can, people kill themselves because of it.
Oh yeah. Hey, we just said the same thing. Nice.
Yeah.
Exactly. And people fly off the handle and don't realize the implications that can have on your whole life. Like there was I'm trying to think of one time where this girl says she posted on some fucking social media. She said, "I'm drunk and I'm driving home and I just don't care anymore," or whatever. And then she got in an accident on the way home. Understandably. And then when it came down to court, dude, she was booked. It was over. Yeah. There was nothing that she could do. It didn't matter who they put her in front of. She was going to get convicted.
Yeah.
And she went to jail and she's in prison. And to think about and obviously other people who flown off the handle, celebrities and whatnot. And I think just people have to learn this isn't just a joke, or it isn't not real life. It is real life. Like, and your name's attached to it. And I think that's only going to become more prevalent too in the future of internet society, we'll call it. I think you're going to be attached to what you post, more accountable.
But it's not like, go ahead, Dallas. Sorry.
Cancel culture, 100%. We see that already. People dig back into, Kevin Hart 2008 said this, cancel it.
It's like, and that's the start of it. That's the start of it. But I think that you're going to have no more, I was hacked and somebody posted that on my thing. I think you're going to know, like you're going to have a fingerprint on your post, and it will be like, you'll be 100% accountable for what gets posted on your page. And that sits with you for the rest of your life, because the internet is forever. It doesn't go away. Like somebody could have a screenshot of something you posted, from when you were a kid, and then when you're 30 years old, you have to answer for it or something. So
yeah. It's the other thing I think too is just like it is real in that you're posting, typically posting real things, but it's this snapshot of like a curated reality that you want people to think is real, and what it becomes so superficial too. I mean, people are so appearance is everything, and you want people to think that you're having an awesome life and that your life is better than everybody else's, and it's not good. Like it's almost like people will start, and people are starting, like they prefer that than their actual real reality, and their whole existence now is online, and that's
no. Eventually you'll have to face reality. You can't live in your own fictitious land forever. And when you have to step outside and go to the bank, you still are your human meat sack,
Yeah, and the hate, like the hate groups and all that. That's all festering online and social media of some sorts, and that's bad.
How about even just the fact that you could be tricked, like bots, like Russian bots, or whatever, like not to get all fucking spiritual on you, but how about just accounts that are ran by bots just to instigate and just to stir shit up, and like that is out there. Like you should control your emotions when you're reading and posting stuff. You should just not go off the handle. There is stuff out there just to instigate you.
Yeah, it's amazing. And then, how do you police it? How do you tell people what they can and can't say?
Yeah, and I'm all for non-censorship. So I would just like people to just be smart about what they, as long as it's not unfair.
Yeah, like I definitely am not a pro censorship, but I do have a problem with blatantly telling things that we all know aren't true.
Sure.
And masking them as being true, and then and justifying it as saying, well, I'm allowed to just say whatever I want. I mean,
right.
Or maybe it's not even an individual. I think more for me, like media, news that's like somehow like sanctioned by some bigger company that's like, no, we're gonna like put this forth, even though like it is obviously bullshit.
Yeah.
But it's a sticky slope. Who gets to decide what you should and shouldn't
That's
say?
always the question. You give somebody the power, then you can't take it back.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but under the First Amendment, like inciting violence is against that. You can't incite like an angry mob.
Can't yell fire in a movie theater if there's no fire. There's definitely situations that are illegal to do, but at that point, you've broken the law. You know what I mean? Once you've done that, you've already broken the law. You have freedom of speech, but you cannot incite, riots for no reason.
I wonder if maybe sometime in the future, some sort of further amendment to that gets added, where they add like something to the effect of like falsehoods, like like telling a lies. That's really slippery slope too, because there's a lot of things that are hard to tell what the actual fact is. Like it's like the chicken or the egg kind of thing. Like yeah, you could say like, yeah, chickens are born from eggs, but then like what came first? You could probably make an argument for both sides. But
you'll see things in like in the news media too, where there is some fact that has been like it's like an objective fact. Like I can't think of an example. Or okay, so this was like the whole Joe Biden. Like there was a fact that he withheld aid or something. This was like in the whole impeachment thing. Mm-hmm. But then there was so much like, here's this fact, and we're now going to just spew crap about like why, like the motivation or what happened behind the scenes or whatever. Like you don't know. Like it's all speculation. But you shouldn't be presenting that as fact necessarily.
Right.
What else was I going to say? I had a thought on that. Anyway,
everything could be spun into a different like perspective. Like all of a sudden now I'm looking at it from this perspective, and it's like, oh, it does kind of seem like that, and I could see how somebody could see that. So then, what's the fact there?
It's not necessarily you're not necessarily lying. You're just like planting what your beliefs are. So it's like,
and people will gravitate towards what they want to hear and make a case for it. You know what I mean? And that's the hard part. You're listening to other people's argument for why this is the way it is. Not only just what the way it is first, but why it is the way it is, and then and everybody's got a different perspective.
But there's also things like where there are laws in place, but there's plenty of things that are bad and you shouldn't do that also shouldn't be a law. And I think you could probably make that argument in a lot of ways about lying. Like most of the time lying is bad and you shouldn't do it. But is it a criminal? Should it be a criminal offense? Probably not. People make the same argument about like abortion, not to get too crazy with it, but but you could argue that most people are like, abortion is bad. Like nobody likes abortion, but the argument really is, even though we don't like it and we don't think anybody should do it, should it be illegal? Like there's like, and so they're like, it's like lying is kind of the same thing, and presenting fake news or fake whatever. Like it would be hard, I think, to say you're not allowed to not tell.
Exactly.
I think the punishment, so to speak, for that would hopefully be citizens being like, hey, this guy sucks.
Right.
I think
you have to rely on people to be smart for that to happen, and that doesn't really work out so much.
Yeah. You guys watch Black Mirror? Either one of you guys?
I've heard a lot of good.
Okay. So the idea, the premise behind Black Mirror, just really quick, I'll just sum it. It's that one thing in the future changes, one new innovation or one new shift in economy or sociality, whatever you want to call it, fucking shifts everybody, the way we do everything. So the idea on one episode was that our social media is in our eyes. I don't know if it's a contact, I forget exactly what it was, but you see it all the time. And when you pass somebody and they're helping a little old lady cross the street, you can literally like point your phone at them or your little controller and like it. And that becomes like the thing. So if you lie and you caught, like you dislike it or whatever, and they, your social status goes down.
Wow.
Points. And it's very interesting, man.
That's so interesting.
You should check out Black Mirror. There's a lot of like really out there ideas that they have on there, but any of them could be possible if just one innovation changed or one train of thought in society changed. Like we could just be in a totally different, 100 years, whatever.
Yeah. To bring it full circle, like, if you think about the coronavirus thing, like there's a lot of people that are saying the only way that we'll really be able to open back up is if there's like mass tracking, and like I don't know whether it's on your phone or like maybe somehow tied to social media or something, to where we know it's like a prerequisite for being able to go to the concert is that like you have somehow uploaded like whether or not you're sick or not, and like
right.
that would probably make people a lot safer. But then like is America ever really going to be okay with doing something like that? It's hard to imagine.
Yeah, the antibodies test I would assume would be the way to go, or one of those tests that they're talking about to tell, like if you've got it or if you've had it already,
Yeah.
And they could have something like that for the latest pandemic. Every year you get it in the mail, like here's your test.
Yeah.
Check yourself before you go out.
This whole coronavirus thing is like a conspirator's like
dream.
Oh, for sure.
But the thing that really stands out to me is like, you guys have seen the list of like the latest numbers by country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like 8th. Dude, there's no way by the percentages of the amount of people they have. That's not.
Yeah.
For China.
Yeah. They said,
they know the numbers are fake.
300,000 or whatever, and China was at like 80,000. I was like, bitch, you have 1 billion people.
Yeah.
They
know the numbers are fake.
They've had 80,000 since like December. It's it's complete crap.
Yeah, because they are a communist government. They dictate what comes out. They twist the numbers to say what they want to say. And that's why I think I heard that the United States actually has some kind of legal action against them right now, against China for hiding evidence, for hiding the fact that they...
I don't know what there is in the form of like a world policing,
I don't either. Yeah, I really don't know how that works.
I don't either.
Other countries. But like, I mean, at some point, like their decisions have literally affected us. Like me right here, right now, their decisions to do that is affecting us.
Has killed our economy. Has put a huge dent in our economy and set us all back.
Yeah. So at what point does that become a problem where other countries are like, hey, all right, fuck you. We're going to do something,
It's a UN thing. It's right. Isn't that how they police the other countries? All the countries get together and they say, okay, China fucked up. What are we going to do to make them pay for this? Or
but then they're like, all right, China, you fucked up, but we need you to also keep making us and sending us all the stuff that we like, all the ventilators and everything that we need. It's like they
call it even.
yeah, they're pretty
they need somebody to sell those ventilators to. Remember that it's a two-way street. They need the business just like, we need the product.
I agree.
Tell them to clear our debt and we'll just wipe the slate clean. How about that?
Yeah, something.
Yeah, it could be something like that, Dallas. It could just be like a huge chunk taken out of our debt, and it would help us get back on our feet anyways.
I don't even understand how debt works. I'm like, I mean, at that scale, I'm like, so what? We just print money. Who's gonna come? Yeah. Who's gonna come knocking on the door saying you got to pay it? We're like, okay, well then we'll.
There are consequences to printing money, though.
Yeah, inflation.
Yeah, exactly. You can't kill your economy just to print and pay China back.
Well, my question is like, why not? I mean, like, you're probably right, but I'm like, what? Like,
your country would be in a depression.
Just print a whole room for just China and just don't.
Money is just like it all came from like bartering and trading. It's like we have manufactured the money system.
Yeah, it's supposedly backed up in gold, but it's not. There's
not at all. Not anymore.
Past that. Yeah. I'm watching a really interesting show on this. Actually, it's called Money Heist on Netflix. Have you seen it?
I've seen like half of the first.
Yeah, there's 4 seasons.
The Spanish one, right?
Yeah, and it's all overdubbed in English and everything. But dude,
it's done
so
well.
So smart, and it's done well. Yeah, so the music's great in it.
I need to watch it. I got about halfway through the first episode, and
I'm almost done with it. It's awesome. Yeah. It's great though because it's like about like the mint where they make money and stuff like that. So it's cool.
I thought that was French, Matt, or is it Spanish?
I believe it's Spanish. I'm almost positive it's.
I think it's Spanish, but there might be at least the episode I saw was like all taking place in Spain, and they were definitely speaking Spanish. But it's possible that they're different.
I don't know. I watched a money show that started that I thought was going to be really cool, and I thought it had heist in the title, and it was in French. Spanish shows I can totally work with. Like I don't speak Spanish well, but I was almost like conversational in college.
So wow,
nice.
But, and I love watching those shows like Narcos and El Chapo.
Right. I love Spanish culture. Yeah, I love Spanish culture, and this is shot in Spain, like you're saying, and it's beautiful, man. They have awesome like architecture and just the way they do everything. It's cool. Like I don't know, it's different. It's like watching a show that's in a different country, and you could tell that was just overdubbed in English. There's no English whatever you call it. Like they Hollywood it, they Hollywoodify it, like, and make it very. It's supposedly in Spain, but it still doesn't feel like it's Spain. It's kind of like it looks like an American made up Spain. But this is like very Spanish, and it's produced by Spaniards, and they the whole thing is done by them.
I always think humor is one of the things that's so funny to me, like culturally. I've always thought British humor is so funny, but it's not. I don't think it's like the jokes themselves are not the funny part. The funny part to me is like British people find this funny.
Yes,
and shows on it, and it's stuff that it just would never happen here. Like I'm trying to think of examples.
The Office, for one.
Yeah, Ricky Gervais.
There you go.
Or like the Monty Python stuff back in the day.
Right.
It's like that shit would never have happened here.
Yep. And what's interesting, I don't know if you've ever watched that with the subtitles on it, George, but they don't follow, because obviously, I don't know if they translated it without having the subtitles translated or whatever, but they don't actually line
it's
right
not
up.
Word for word, yeah.
So you can hear two different interpretations of the Spanish that once was Spanish script.
That's cool, and that makes you think. Like, I'm always thinking about like my brother's a preacher. He's a pastor, and my family did not grow up religious at all.
Okay,
but I'm always arguing with him about things, and I'm like, but like what you're reading and quoting is like fact is a translation, and like. That, like, I'd be like, watch Money Heist.
Right. Yeah.
Like, tell me that it's exactly spot on.
And it's very interesting. And in like some of the music that I've looked up, and I messed around with a little bit on guitar. I learned one of the little Spanish things, and it's interesting that the lyrics even translate differently. Like, because this song is played in this area of the world, in this area of the world, in this area of the world, and they've all interpreted it their own way, and the lyrics are a little different, and everyone. So it's pretty cool. And
also consider the fact that religious texts are translated by people that essentially want to control other people.
Yeah.
Throw in whatever they want at any time. By the way, I don't like gay people, so we're going to sneak that in there.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
We would never know that. There's just no way to go back in time, 2,000 years, 3,000 years, whatever.
Yep. They say one of the arguments is that it's divinely translated, essentially. So like, even though it's a translation, God dictated what you're supposed to, like, how you're supposed to translate it, which I'm like, okay.
Yeah, man, there's always, if you just want to say magic on stuff, then you can say that it's just magic. Yeah.
Yeah.
He made it happen.
Just trust me.
Hello. Any closing thoughts as we go around the round table here?
Man, I don't know. Go ahead, George. Well, I was just going to say I love like just interacting with people, and it's like, this isn't, we're not like sitting at an actual table, but it's like, 80%.
Yeah.
And podcasts are awesome.
It's a good compromise to having a real conversation. Yeah.
Go
ahead, Dallas.
We all save money on gas.
There you go.
Exactly. And I was going to say that I just think this is a really good conversation between people who are all in the same situation in somewhat different ways, but are all making it work. And here we are in one of the ways we're making it work is, telecommunication, obviously. And, we talked about all the different ways we're using music and getting by with music and doing during this time. So it was a good conversation, I think.
Yeah, for sure. George, for anyone that wants to check out Bold Music, where can they find out more about that?
They can go to boldmusiclessons.com. They can follow us on Instagram at Bold Music Lessons, and then Facebook. You can like our page at Bold Music. And I'm trying to do a lot more on the Facebook page. It was sort of dormant for a while, but all that.
Us too.
Cool.
We struggle with Facebook, but we do Instagram pretty good.
Yeah. Cool.
Awesome. Well, that's it for us. Let's sign off, people. Have a good one. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.